Jack Ridenour back with you all today. And on this edition of Recruiting Thursday, we are joined by Latrobe girls basketball standout and recent South Carolina Upstate women's basketball commit, Emma Blair. Emma, first off, thanks so much for joining us today on WSN, and congratulations on your recent commitment.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, how does it feel to make this decision and, finally have a little bit of more certainty as to where you're going to school next year?
It feels great. It's so relieving to know where I'm going to be going to school before my senior year.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably a big weight lifted off of your shoulders and something that you don't have to worry about going into your last year of high school. Well, I'm sure that, making that recent decision, you probably look back at your entire career and just where you've come from all the way to where you first started playing basketball. When did you first start playing basketball?
I started playing basketball in 7th grade, so a little later than most. I actually played softball since I was really young, and I thought I was going to play softball in college until 9th grade, but then I switched to basketball, and I'm so glad that I did.
Do you ever miss softball and ever think about, maybe, if you had not made that decision, you'd maybe go and stick with that softball path?
I still play softball for this high school, so I do enjoy playing it still, but I'm just so excited for basketball.
Well, that's great. And I know that it's probably a very exciting summer with you, with now knowing where you're going to be playing college basketball. What made you decide on South Carolina Upstate?
I chose Upstate because of the great atmosphere there. It's a new coaching staff, so they're looking to build something special down there, and the coaches are just amazing, and they've been so involved throughout my recruiting process, and the team is great too. It's like a big family down there. The community and the campus are really nice, and the system that Upstate plays is just the right fit for me.
Well, I'm sure you're also probably pretty excited for a little bit of warmer weather, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure the winters there are going to be very, very different to what they are around here in the Pittsburgh area. But I know you'd mentioned you wanted to get this decision made prior to your senior year starting. Why did you want to get this done before your senior year and before your final year of high school basketball?
I just wanted to be able to enjoy my last year of high school sports, with having no stress of worrying where I need to pick throughout volleyball, basketball, and softball, just to enjoy it all.
Yeah, I think that's a great mindset to have, especially with it being your last year of high school. You want to enjoy that fully. What was this recruiting process like for you as a whole? I'm sure early on with how COVID disrupted a lot of things, I'm sure that had a little bit of an impact for you early on. But overall, what was this recruiting process like for you?
COVID with the transfer portal in the 5th years has definitely been tough for recruiting. I started getting some college attention, I think my sophomore year, and then my junior year in this past AAU season is where I got a lot more looks. And so I sent out a lot of emails to coaches, and I went to a good bit of camps. I went to the Upstate camp in June, and that's just how I kind of got my attention.
Well, it's great that you were able to be proactive about that. Now, I do want to kind of dive a little bit further into that 5th year aspect, because as we all know, a lot of seniors and a lot of players getting that 5th year option because of the COVID year. Were coaches sharing that information with you and kind of giving you that heads up of, hey, we've got a lot of people coming back, just to give you that fair warning?
It was more like a lot of schools maybe didn't have that much. They were interested in you, but they just didn't know if they had the space for you because of everyone joining the transfer portal and staying for the extra year.
Yeah, I'm sure it's got to be such a nuisance for a lot of you recruits and a lot of you high school players just having to deal with that, basically a big log jam and a big backlog atop the leaderboard, if you will, in the college rankings. Well, I know you mentioned that you've been doing a lot this summer, playing a lot of hoops this summer. How has the season been, or the summer been for you really? And just what's it been like just getting back on the court and everything, especially after the high school season?
My AAU team has been really great. My coaches there, they're fantastic. Just going out there and competing every weekend, it was great. AAU is so fun.
AAU is a lot of fun. I was once a basketball player myself many years ago and played a lot of AAU basketball, so I know exactly what you go through. A lot of traveling on the weekends, but a lot of fun times, and you also make great friends throughout the process, which I think is even better. In terms of the AAU aspect and how much AAU has helped you in terms of your recruiting and just being recognized, is this something that you recommend to other players that want to be recruited to play collegially? How much has AAU had an impact on you for that?
Yes, I would definitely recommend playing AAU. Getting the exposure that you do, going to the tournaments, and your coaches help you out so much with getting recruited.
Yeah, the exposure is huge. I think that's one of the biggest aspects. What were some tournaments that you guys went to? Any fun, interesting places that you guys went to this past summer?
We went to Indianapolis for like a few days, and then we went to Cincinnati, down to Spooky Nook. We were there a couple times. That place is really big.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about Spooky Nook, and I actually, where I'm originally from Maryland, so we had a big complex like that also, where it was 15 different gyms, and you've got all sorts of games going on, and so on and so forth. But getting into the high school season, you had a very successful year, winning the Tribune Review Westmoreland Girls Basketball Player of the Year. So a very, very monumental year for you this past year. What did it mean to you to personally win that award, and then also how did you find out that you had received that award?
I was like so shocked, kind of like I didn't know it was going to happen. I didn't know until my high school coach, I think, sent it to me and was like, congrats, like it's well deserved. And it was definitely something that I like take pride in, knowing that I was rewarded with that. And I just think like all of the hard work that you put in, it pays off in the end. And I couldn't get to where I am without all my coaches and my teammates along the way.
Hey, hard work pays off, and that's I think that you're an example of that, right? I mean, you even saying that, just showing that if you put your mind to something, you can definitely accomplish that. Now, I know that your style of play has been described almost post-oriented, more traditional post player, which nowadays you don't see a ton of, but it's still very, very unique. What is it in your game that you feel really makes you that traditional post player and really exemplifies that description of you?
I think I try and get more of like the easier shots. Like I just try and finish around the rim as much as I can. And then rebounding is such a big part of my game. I know that if I can get a defensive rebound and then I can outlet it real quick, then we can get a fast break and it just all works together.
And I think that rebounding is something that people don't really pay much attention to, but it's such an important part of basketball. I think at times it's even more important than scoring because it's keeping those extra possessions alive. When you go for a rebound and when a shot goes up, what are you looking at? I know a lot of different people that I've talked to, they say, I look at the arc of the trajectory of the ball, I see where it's going to land or whatever it might be. What are you looking at when the ball or a shot goes up and it's coming down?
I definitely first I try and find like who's around me to know if I need to box anyone out, and then I kind of just look at the shot and see if like it's going to be short or long, and then I try and get the right positioning in order to secure the rebound.
Now, how much in your opinion, do you feel the art of boxing out is forgotten? Because that's another part of rebounding that it's one aspect of watching the shot, but then also finding a body, finding a player, and moving them out of the way. Do you feel at times that that's almost kind of a lost art in basketball nowadays?
I mean, it's definitely kind of harder for some people to understand like that the boxing out needs to happen in order to get the rebounds, because if you just let them in front of you, then they're going to get it. So I do see it being lost sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's something that is again so important, right? I mean, I've had coaches over the years where they would actually track rebounds and they would count them almost as points because they said that they're almost as important as points, which is very, very true. Again, going back to those extra possessions. But this year was a very historic one for your team. You guys made it to the PIAA playoffs for the first time in 23 years. What was it about this team that this past year that you feel was able to make you or allowed you guys to make that type of run? What was it that, really, it kind of all came together in full circle this year?
I think the chemistry that we had this year was just amazing. We've been playing together for the past couple years. I think the year before last year, we were section champs and we made a run in the playoffs. And then a lot of us returned, and it was just the chemistry that we had. And we all worked together. No one was about themselves. It was about the team.
When do you feel during the season you guys started to gel the most?
I think probably we do a lot during the summer together. So that helps like the transition between the actual season. So whenever we first start playing, I think it's when we get some of the jitters out of the way and then we start to gel.
Now, do you have many of your teammates playing AAU basketball with you as well as in high school?
There's one girl on my high school team that's on my AU team, and then two others also play for the same organization that I do. So I think it helps that we're all getting out there and getting the same exposure and the work that we need.
Well, it's great that you're able to establish that chemistry in the summertime, right? I think that, summer basketball is again something that I think a lot of people like to put on the back burner, but it's so important to get to know your teammates, develop that chemistry, and kind of get a feel for how everybody, plays on the court, where everybody's going to be at certain times, right? But Emma, you've been great to get on the show today. Thanks so much for stopping by. Before I let you go, one last little question, and I'm just curious to hear, what are you most looking forward to heading into this year? Can be basketball related, non-basketball related, but what are you just most looking forward to heading into this school year?
I think I'm most excited for all of my last year of sports with volleyball, basketball, softball to see how we do and how far we can make it, but especially for basketball.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, good luck this year. It's going to be an exciting year. And again, your final year of high school. So go out on a strong note and good luck the rest of this summer and stay healthy, stay well. And we'll chat soon. Thanks again for coming by.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.